instincts, but there was the book, and he saw me actually before the book came out talking about it with Jorge Ramos and asked for an advance copy of it. He has a sense for what the public wants.
How well?
So, okay, so now we're going to go and say that I'm sorry if you missed the introduction here. Hi, me, Rayne, again. But we're talking about Ann Coulter and her interview on Skavlan TV2 in Scandinavian television. This rather Gordon Ramsay-esque appearance to the Scandinavian talk show host is interviewing Ann Coulter, the famous author, whatever, speech haver, whatever, talking about Trump in a sense that he didn't have the idea or his position or slant or opinion on the immigration solely on his own, because it didn't occur to him to have this vehement status about it until after he had read her book, which I don't know if you can claim that sole intervention on that, Ms. Coulter. I think that even in this case, I'm also one of the people that can also say I think that it's very good that we have borders that are strong, and we need that. It's a very huge necessity, okay? Because I've been a rather targeted individual for hate from the Latin or people of Latin descent here in our country, legally or illegally. When I was in Los Angeles, that really played a lot to my weaknesses to keep me from getting a job because of my light-colored complexion and my English-speaking abilities. So, do I find it rude and crude that these Spanish people are, let to come into our borders with or without anyone stopping them and come into our country and virtually take it the hell over? Yeah, I think it's kind of wrong that they're allowed to do that. But the country itself was founded on immigration and was founded on immigrants. And most people that came here from a different country are the names on the independence, our Constitution and our Declaration of Independence. All were names of people who immigrated to this country. So to have a negative stance on immigration is kind of like saying you hate America. So being anti-American and being anti-immigration, kind of a tough horse to ride, if you know what I'm saying. You can't do side saddle on this one. You got to have one leg on both sides. So do I think that it's common for us to make this misstep in our social climb to being more accepting of other people? Maybe, but let's continue the interview, shall we?
How do you know him?
Well, not very well. I mean, I grew up in Connecticut. So Trump was just always something that was there. He was like the Empire State Building.
But do you know him personally?
I'd met him. He was never really.
She met Trump.
He's not a very Connecticut type person. We kind of look down on people who brag about their wealth. So he wasn't exactly, in terms of style, my cup of tea. But I overcame that because he's giving me the issues I care about. And then there comes a moment, I advised him a little bit during the campaign. I showed up at Mar-a-Lago one night. It was after I hope you don't know about this, but there was a moment during one of the debates when he was not obviously, but obviously bragging about his penis size. So I showed up at Mar-a-Lago. It's just him, Hope Hicks, Corey Lewandowski. The whole campaign was those three people. I show up, they're eating dinner, they're exhausted, and I said to him, look, I'm the only person losing money trying to put you in the White House. You are going to listen to me. No more bragging about your penis size. And he said...
Just to have that problem as a candidate.
It was very, very unusual. Yes, I admit that.
Let's face it, on the other side of politics, and also many Republicans, they.
Okay, so did you hear that? Can we get some sort of opinion here to whether or not any of this is actually true? Because if so, very bad move, Ms. Coulter. Because, maybe Trump did brag about it because he is rather hands-on-ish for, the... fairer sex, talking about grabbing certain areas. Probably. That's very, very, very possible in a Trumpism, but I don't know. I think that seems a little far-fetched for an author of her caliber to be a campaign advisor. Okay.
They are not happy with him.
Oh, no, they're not happy at all.
What do you think is the
Well, what Trump exposed, I'm not sure if it's like this. I never hated the Republican Party so much, and I realized both politicians, it really isn't. I stopped seeing the country in terms of Republican, Democrat. It's both parties against the people. And they lie to us when they're running for office, and the political consultants take millions of dollars to tell them what to say and to formulate these arguments. And the political consultants, at least for Republicans, kept losing and losing and losing it. And here comes Donald Trump without a pollster, without a political consultant, with a somewhat abrasive manner and unusual background, and all he has to do is give the people what they're asking for.
Well, wait, unusual background, yes, but he's not a man of the people.
Weirdly, he is.
Well,
weirdly.
Weirdly.
No, okay, he lives.
Okay, so he agrees he wants to drain the swamp, so to speak, and or end government corruption and FBI spending to the point where they're driving our deficit beyond a comprehensible or comprehensible number. And he wants to try and put a border up to keep our country safe from people who don't need to be here or shouldn't be let in without legal recourse or something. And that's bad in some way. I'm not seeing what negative impact Trump has had on our country other than the fact that he's caused some controversy because of his rather outspokenness and his seemingly adolescent behavior or adolescent mind. Well, if you are in a position that he is in, a billionaire, so to speak, and you were given money to start a company by your parentage, and you didn't use it in the way that he did or function in the way that he did, your mind at the level that it was when you achieved greatness and you had nothing to do other than that, yeah, you probably wouldn't progress or get any more aged in your mind. So I think Trump is also, like me, a product of his environment. And nothing wrong with that because he's been the best thing for our country since Kennedy and Reagan, I propose. Much better than anyone else would have expected. So
he's on Fifth Avenue, he's on his third marriage, he's married to a model. He's in Trump Tower. Okay, he's not your average American, but the issues were all the issues. I mean, people, the few people in the media, and I'm friends with a lot of journalists, and they used to say, if you left New York or Washington, you get 60 miles outside of one of the major coastal cities, and you couldn't go 10 miles without seeing a huge barn with Trump painted on the side.
I've also read that you claim that people on the liberal side, they don't have a sense of humor.
Well, it's a strategy with the left in this country deployed like you've never seen before with Trump, where they pretend not to get jokes. I mean, like when Trump said, I remember I was listening to that line about Russia, if you're listening, if you could find those 30,000 emails of Hillary Clinton's. I was packing at the time, just listening to him give the speech loud. I'm by myself in my bedroom, and I burst out laughing. And then I see all these grim reporters. He's signaling to Vladimir Putin. Oh, come on. When an audience laughs, it's a joke.
So in your ears, that's a joke?
In the entire audience's ears. I mean, they do the same thing to me. I tell a joke, they, translate it into German and then put it through a computer and bring it back and take the humor out.
So how do you see what you call political correctness? Do you think it's impossible to be politically correct and have a sense of humor at the same time?
I think it's very hard, and I think most comedians would tell you that. I spend a lot of time with comedians in New York and in LA, and it's driving them. I mean, but why do they like me? Most of them are liberals, but the things I get attacked for, the things they get attacked for, no, a joke is a joke, and I'll defend jokes that totally go against my side. Alec Baldwin had a famous one a few years ago. I totally defend him.
So did you like his parody of Trump?
Yes, I think I actually kind of think it's pretty funny, but I think it would be funnier. I mean, this is a fine point. Nobody cares about this, but it's hard to do a funny imitation of someone when you're driven by hate.
Did you have, like when you grew up, did you have negative experience with
liberals.
with liberals or with immigrants. But
yes, I still have nightmares. No, I love immigrants. I have lots of immigrant friends. They stay in my house. I cook them dinner. The point is, even the ones who, no, I want to protect the ones who are already here and the Americans already here. And we have taken, and I know in Sweden it gets talked about a lot. You guys aren't close to what's happened to America. This has been 50 years of bringing in third world immigrants, and whose wages are they driving down? They're driving down the poorest Americans, African Americans, Hispanic Americans. They're just trying to get a foothold. Their wages have been flat. In California, they're negative.
You call them rapists and criminals, and this is the way of characterizing people that is...
No, my argument is that we are bringing in cultures that not only, I mean, they're very, it's very bad for the people already here and the least fortunate among us. I mean, I don't work at Wendy's. I'm not a roofer. My wages aren't being driven down, but I care about my fellow Americans, including my fellow immigrant Americans.
Okay, so I'm going to stop it right there because I can't take this BS anymore. The immigrant Americans, every American in this country that's ever been here, okay? Every one of us is an immigrant. All of us. That includes you, Miss Ann Coulter. If you're not an American Indian or a Native American or an indigenous person to this continent, you are an immigrant, okay? You make a ton of money because you're a famous author. And not a whole lot of the, immigrated or what you would call marginalized society has the same opportunity that you possess and that you experience, okay? So to say that you represent or want to help represent your fellow Americans is a slap in the face to people like me, okay? I am an immigrant to this country. My family is immigrated here probably 5 generations ago. Okay, 5 to 6 generations ago. Okay, some of my family did. Some of my family's been here since the 1800s, since the 1700s. So some of my family were founders of this country. So when I also say that I know that every single damn person in here that speaks English in this country is a freaking immigrant, I'm telling you the truth. All of us came from other countries. Nobody's indigenous people here unless you're an American Indian. Then you can claim indigenous. Then you can claim that you're indigenous and that you're not an immigrant. Okay, the marginalized or underrepresented minority in the country is always going to be someone that is not against the social norm or not in the social norm or considered a person that matters by society at large. So let's continue this madness.
And I think government policy ought to be to serve the Americans already here. What both political parties care about isn't serving their voters, it's serving their donors. And their donors want the cheap labor. So that's what has been going on for 50 years.
Are you a feminist?
Oh, gosh, no. Oh, sorry.
Why is that?
Well, I mean, I don't know what it means in Europe, but in this country, it tends to mean, an angry, man-hating lesbian.
Well, it doesn't, does it?
It does!
The fact that you have the right to vote.
Okay. So she is basically calling every single feminist a angry, man-hating lesbian. Woo! I don't know about you, but I think her viewpoint is slightly skewed and probably just trying to do this to get a rise out of people or be controversial because she's being forgotten about. I had completely forgot about Ann Coulter until just now. So, yeah.
Do you appreciate that?
I don't think you want to push me on that one.
Don't want to push me on that one, really.
Tell me.
Let's see what happens.
Because
that's one of my more outre views.
Okay.
Now let's move on from women's right to vote. I think it was a rash experiment. I'm not sure it's worked out. So I think women should be armed, and I think they should be allowed to run for office and talk about politics and write books about politics. And don't worry, we're not repealing the 19th Amendment.
This is very interesting.
Yeah, just
you talk about resistance. Your book is called Resistance.
Right.
But who is the resistance?
Well, it's mostly the media, heavily the media, and the political class. I mean, one of the things Trump did that was very clever is to identify the swamp. It's, I forget who said it, but people can't understand things until there's a word for it. Now there is a word for the swamp, and oh my gosh, is Trump right? And I never realized it before. The swamp has its own interest. That is Washington, D.C., and where they have the highest incomes in the country and the highest incomes in all of the counties. No, you're working for government. You have steady employment. You can't be fired. You have great health care. You're not supposed to be being paid more than the average American, but they are. And so the swamp is they can't stand Trump because he humiliated them.
You want to end mainstream media, right?
Well, I'm hoping Trump does. I think that's the one thing we may get out of it.
Yeah. So.
Okay. So Trump may have a certain meaning when he says swamp, and people may take a certain meaning when he says swamp. But to me, Trump means helping to rid our country of the politicians who are grossly overpaid for their position, spend way too long in the government facility they work in and in the job that's only supposed to be a voted term of 2 years or an elected term or whatever, an appointed term of so long. But they spend a lifetime, a career in that field. And they also are pedophiles. Okay? 90%. I would say nearly all are. And I wouldn't put this definition past Trump. I'm not sure if he does or doesn't. I'm not going to say if he has or hasn't because I don't know. But the point is that most of these politicians that we've been hearing about that have been doing awful things behind the scenes, especially everyone involved with the Clinton Foundation and campaign and anyone associated with Hillary or Bill Clinton, have been a very, very vehement pedophile. And I'm sorry, you're not part of the LGBT group, okay? That is gross and disgusting and just horrible, a very deplorable way of being. And if you're attracted to a child, you need to seek help, okay? You need to seek help. That's a mental illness, people. If I can't make it any more clear, then I do need to do so, okay? Transgender status, the fact that I feel of myself as a woman on the inside that I want to express on the outside, to some people that might be expressed as a mental illness, but to me it's not, okay? To me, pedophilia is a freaking mental illness, and we need to draw the line there, okay? Thank you.
The freedom of speech. Fine. What
happened? No. I believe in freedom of speech. They don't.
But you talk about chemotherapy. You have to move it like a remove it like a cancer.
I don't think you're giving the fullness of the quote. My final chapter is the one thing we might get out of Trump is that he could destroy the media, that he could be like chemotherapy for the country. You know, it's terrible to go through. You vomit, you lose your hair, but in the end, it kills the cancer cells. So with Trump, you vomit, you lose your hair, but the entire New York Times editorial board dies. Oh, yay. So then it can be rebuilt on more ethical lines.
But he's a click machine. He has done, he's really done a lot for the media.
No kidding.
He made the media a lot better.
Every day.
You've really been supporting him through a lot, let's say that. And also.
He doesn't think so.
No, but now
adversarial again. She's the victim, huh?
Disappointed.
Right.
The difference between you and many liberals is that you're disappointed he doesn't go far enough.
Build the wall, end these job-killing trade deals, pull our troops back from Afghanistan.
Because you really want that wall, right?
Well, it's not like it's, just something I thought up. Every rally for 18 months, that was the chant.
Yeah, and you still want it.
Yes, I think it's going to be a blowout against him if he doesn't build it.
I think to many Europeans and Scandinavians, your thoughts are a bit foreign. Some would disagree strongly. I think on your views on especially on Mexican people and immigrants in general.
But I say one more thing about the immigrant point. I feel like I'm the only one who actually really wants diversity. If all we're going to have is this constant churning and constant immigration.
Okay, now she's retracting, backpedaling, and saying the opposite of what she said in the beginning. Okay, Now, to make things clear, to point in a direction that makes any sense, okay? I have never, ever hated a person or had any rough feelings on a person or a personage based on their race or their gender or their religious upbringing, so to speak, okay? Even if they hate me and hate my guts and want to throw rocks at me and yell words at me that are mean and hateful and spiteful and disgusting and talk to me from the side of their car going down the damn road, they talk to me like, what are you wearing? Why are you wearing that punto? They say those things to me going down the road. Okay, so who's being rude here? Not me. I said nothing to that person. Not a word, didn't even invite the comment, didn't even incite the commentary. But of course, this person had an opinion and had to say something to me. So do I think that there's a cultural gap and that there's a huge problem with the integrity of the people coming into our country? Of course I do. Do I think there's a huge problem with the way that these people present themselves in our society and they can't integrate to an intellectual level that we are? Yes, I think it's a problem. And I also think it's a problem that these people bring their outdated views, their archaic ways of thinking and being to our country when the United States of America is built on the life and liberty and the pursuit of happiness, and no one shall come in the way of that and get in the way of an American and their liberty or happiness or pursuit of those things because of their views from a different country. If you're Honduran, if you're Mexican, okay, by any stretch of the imagination, if that offends you, I'm sorry, but you need to tell me a little more about your country and not do it in a hateful manner. If you're from Tijuana, okay, or Mexico in a larger sense, if you're from Tijuana, from, you know, the Latin American area, I don't know much about Mexico because I don't care to know much about Mexico. And why is that? Because the people that have had the most negative impact on me have been the Mexican people. Okay? You want to know how and why? Because those folks have the best food. I love their culture and respect them a lot. But the actual people that live in Los Angeles, California, that I've encountered after moving to Los Angeles, California, have been the sole reason I haven't had a job. Okay? Not because I'm a white American or a mixed American. They assume because of my skin complexion, being lighter, of course, that I'm white, that I have privilege, and of course that I exude a feminine quality and I look gay, that they're phobic of me and they won't give me a position or a chance in hell to have a job. So do I think that that is the opposite or the antithesis of what this person is saying here because of her money and caliber and fame, that she really doesn't have a very valid opinion on the way the social climate is of our country? Those of us who are in this world, who are doing the daily grind and living in it and going to and from with all the crap that you and your kind possess and dispossess in this country, I think it's your fault that it's the way it is in some ways that you see it that way. Now, the reason you should get a perspective that actually is valid, Ms. Coulter, is that you should come to a place where there's plenty of Mexican or Latin American influence in that state or city, and you should see how detrimental it is to society there. 90% of the people I see that are homeless in Los Angeles are white and black people, not Latin. Why is that? Because just under 200 years ago, California used to be Mexico. So we kind of crossed the border on some of these folks. The border, we didn't cross the border crossed us kind of view. Sure, whatever. But that trade deal was 200 years old, okay? We bought the state, we annexed it, and we turned it into part of our country. So if you don't like it, that's a personal problem. But if you were here at the time of the purchase of California and the purchase of that area, then you are an American citizen, okay? You were grandfathered in from that land purchase, okay? Anyone else that came across that border post the declaration of that state becoming part of our country, you are here illegally, okay? And you do need to get yourself a citizenship status or a green card or something to try and come into our country and be here legally, like the rest of us have to do, okay? I've never had to done it because I was born here. If I move to Mexico, do I have to do the same thing you're doing in our country? I don't know. I've never been to Mexico, so I wouldn't know. But I don't know. I don't think that your country's policies on people coming into their country are any different than ours are. So I think it's unfair to assume and unfair to suggest that the rest of the world should view it that way when the rest of the world doesn't have this problem, okay? the European migrants and European immigration policy is lazy. And I do think it has some issues they have to work out. And it's caused a lot of problems. And the border security might have been the sole reason Poland was under such crap during World War II. And I do think that a lot of it, if we had borders and better border security, then yeah, we could probably stem the tide of a lot of unnecessary violence and war. Just my opinion.
Immigration.
We're all going to look alike. There will be no difference. There will be no culture. I want to go to Sweden and eat fish and have it be light all night.
You will last 5 minutes in Sweden.
Buy IKEA furniture and listen to ABBA. And then I want to go to Italy and have pasta. I mean, I think it works better if cultures stay in their own countries, so you have genuine diversity as opposed to just one bland.
Well, but don't America is all about immigration, isn't it?
No, but don't say you're for diversity. You're for ending culture, actually.
No, I'm not.
Yes, you are.
No, I didn't say that.
Well, if you want if you want everyone to be the same and all cultures to be alike, and for there to be no difference, I could wake up and not know if I'm in Mexico, Syria, Egypt, Sweden, Italy.
Isn't this country all about immigration?
No. That's an invention.
Is it?
Yeah, it's about freedom. It's about that one really successful British colony, although Canada and Australia aren't bad, not as good as America.
Okay, so she is entirely an idiot on this topic, okay? Don't ask these questions to Ann Coulter. She writes books, okay? She's not a political person or a person with, a remotely educated view on immigration. The country that we live in, America, has on its Statue of Liberty in New York City, "Bring me you're tired, you're hungry, you're poor." The country always has been the guarantee of the right to every person under the view of God to have the life that they wish for, to pursue liberty and happiness at their own will and accord, and that is guaranteed any citizen within the American borders, that you are guaranteed life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. That is what the country stands for, not immigration. So the fact that they ask a dumb person a smart question really stands to reason that the people that they got in the interview, they brought her on just to stomp on her, okay? So Scaplan was very intelligent to bring this woman on the show because she pretty much took a crap in a box and called it America. I don't think that she's accurate in one sense of the word or the other, or that she has a valid opinion on the matter that's educated, because one, she has had the silver spoon in her mouth really the entire life that she's had. She's a very famous author and has had a lot of money, and the immigration in this country would not impact her. And then she was saying, "Oh, I wish we'd have cultures in our own cities and states and whatever, that we shouldn't immigrate and shouldn't, blend together." Okay, so you don't recall the saying in the Bible where when the Tower of Babel was constructed, the reason it was broken down was because we were not allowed into the heavens until we came to pass. That loosely said, you can't come here until you die, folks. And God destroyed the tower and split us all up till we spoke different languages. That created diversity. So if you want to blame anyone, okay, for diversity and put a mark on any diverse person or culture, then you might as well say it was God's fault, okay? Because he did it. The Tower of Babel was destroyed and we were all separated. We spoke the same language before then. We all got along pretty well. Okay, because we were a very intelligent race then. We built a tower tall enough to piss God off, okay? So when they struck the tower down, and, case in point, the leader then was Nimrod, okay? What's that word mean to, lean to now? What are we using that word for? His name is an epithet now to mean idiot or fool or stupid person. So I think in this case that, Ann Coulter is quite the Nimrod. Just saying.
Ann Coulter, thank you so much. Hope you enjoyed the clip. For more interesting conversations, please hit subscribe.
I think I will, Scaplan. I really appreciate that. God, that's just insane. I mean, that entire interview, she was just, woo. I love that she doesn't give a single crap of what people think about her. Not an NPC. Comment on that 1 month ago. 27 replies accrued after that comment. So I think there's probably a mix of both valid and invalid opinions. But who cares? Each person, like their own butthole, is welcome to their own opinion. So it's probably going to stink, and it doesn't really put out nice things, and it's usually very smelly. So yeah, just like all opinions, each of us do have certain body parts that we are welcome to express. Not expose, but express, okay? You can be, for a more PG-rated tone, you can be a bunghole if you want, okay? Doesn't make it right or make it correct or allowable in the situation. Now, that they're rather picking apart of this interview that they have with Ann Coulter. Okay, the Scavlan had the Ann Coulter interview. That was a little crazy how he was trying to bait her into sitting on one side of the fence or the other based on immigration. Okay, so I'll give you a straight answer, Scavlan, if you wanted a straight answer for immigration. Our country welcomes folks to come into it, not immigrate, okay? Not illegally, okay? Immigration in our country is fine and welcome, and you're all welcome to do so. For instance, and hence the Statue of Liberty, bring me you're tired, you're hungry, you're poor. You know, very obviously standing as a beacon of hope to all who hope to have a wonderful life, you know, pursuing liberty and happiness in our country. They're free to do so if they do it legally. So I think I pretty much answered the question that she was incapable of answering. There's nothing wrong with immigration, okay? Nothing wrong with it if it's done the right way. The problem I have, and others like me that understand this question that we have with immigration, is that it's done illegally. They're just crossing our border and coming into our country, earning the money they need, and then leaving without ever staying in it. And, you know, taking advantage of the, you know, the unbalanced value of the American dollar in a foreign country. Yeah, it's probably smart to do that, and I can't knock them for doing it, but it's also illegal, right? Okay, it should be if it's not, but I don't think there's anything wrong with you sending money back to your own country, and there's a legal way to do it, okay? There's better ways to do it without hiding it, and there's nothing wrong with it, and a senator or a congressman's not going to stop you, okay? I'm not going to stop you. If you do things that we have policies for, and there's a reason we have an application for citizenship for people like you who come from a different country, who want to be part of this grand old party that, you know, has a boring attic and an even more boring and, you know, disgusting basement, to say the least. The Canada is just an attic above a really great party, and the basement is not much better. So let's say things the way they are. America is a completely awesome country, and I love this place. There's nothing wrong with this country. We might have some people running it right now who are a little insane. We might have some people in this country that are kind of disconnected from the rest of society and culture, and that don't understand the questions that are being asked her if they're in a political form or another to speak to rather genuine political issues or genuine countrywide or social issues. So I'm glad they didn't touch on those topics, because I really would have hated to hear what she had to say about that, because I really do like her books. I don't want to hate the lady, okay? I don't want to have a reason to not read her books, because they're good. She's a good writer. She should stick to that. Not answering questions about immigration that she's perfectly incapable of answering properly. So, yeah, she was trying to ride the fence and be on the side of the host. And that's not how you do an interview, Miss Coulter. I'm so sorry. You have to be able to share your opinion and offend people no matter what you say. Her view on feminists was kind of stark and very, well, true in some cases. They are mostly, you know, angry lesbian men haters. So, but they should love transgender people or transgender women because, you know, hey, I'm trying to join the party, right? But it's okay. I'm not going to stir the pot on that one any further. I think I went down further than I should have there, but still, I think that she's just completely insane on that level and biased and disconnected from what really is true. So we'll go ahead and end it there. I hope you enjoyed it. That was my take on the interview with, well, my reaction to the Ann Coulter review on Scavlan in Scandinavia. Feminists are angry, men hating lesbians. Quite a funny interview. If you have a time to watch it, I do recommend it.